Welcome back, friends. Happy to have you here. Hello, Lou. Good morning.
Good morning. How are we doing today?
Great, great. Friends, thank you for joining us again today. Today is episode 4 of Ancient Stories. And I'm going to tell you a story today about an Indian princess who started the country and the name of Korea. I think yeah, go ahead, Lou.
No, interesting. I think we talked about this during the Gita podcast as well. Yeah.
That's right. We did talk about it during the Gita podcast. And I have to say, Lou, you've been with me now for a number of years throughout the 216 episodes of the Gita and now this Ancient Stories. And it's been a pleasure working with you. I couldn't have done this with anybody else, and I really appreciate it. You've done a great job.
I appreciate you saying that, but it's been such a great journey for me. The Gita podcast, if people aren't familiar with it, they should check it out. Was just a great journey, and we're just beginning here, but we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so many people have written to me and they said, Lou's comments and questions and your banter back and forth between you and Lou has really made this so much more interesting. So don't stay silent. Keep saying something. People like it.
Well, we have fun and people enjoy when we have fun doing this. So.
Right. So let me take you back to the year 2000 or so. I don't know the exact year. I was reading a newspaper and I saw in there that a high-level delegation of ministers from South Korea had showed up in India, about 100 of them. And they went to a city known in India as Ayodhya, Ayodhya. Ayodhya. Ayodhya was the birthplace of Lord Ram from the Ramayana. And in there, they looked for this farmer with the last name Mishra. And they said they went to him and they gave him $50 million.
Wow.
And they touched his feet. He was an unsuspecting farmer, having no idea what was going on. Gave him $50 million and appointed him an ambassador between Ayodhya and South Korea. And they said that he was the ancestor of their ancestors. So they said, sorry, he was the descendant of one of their ancestors. Nobody knew what was going on. The newspaper article went on to say a few things about how this delegation of 100 ministers from South Korea had named Ayodhya the sister city of a city of Kimhae, Kimhae in South Korea, Kimhae. And I was puzzled at the time. I didn't understand what was going on. So I did a little research and I came up with the following. So in 50 AD, which is 50 years after the death of Christ, there was in Ayodhya a very powerful, very rich king. His name was King Mishra. And King Mishra, and you may not believe this, friends. Lou, you might say this is, but if you look it up, and I'll give you where to look it up. Movies have been made about this in Korea, and you speak to a number of Koreans, they will know about this story. I've researched it, and I found from Korean scholars and Indian scholars that this is absolutely true. So hold on to your seats. You're not going to believe this. So King Mishra, 50 AD, was a very powerful king, had navy, ships, armies, valiant soldiers, education, teachers, all these things in his kingdom. He was fast asleep on his huge king-size bed, silks and rubies and diamonds everywhere. And he woke up and he had a 16-year-old daughter and an older son. And he said, I had a dream last night. And people around him said, oh, okay, what was the dream? He says, this was not just a dream. God came in my dream to me and said, here's my command to you. Put your 16-year-old daughter in a ship and send it across eastward to this island where there is a young prince waiting to meet your daughter, who will your daughter should get married to him, and then you'll be successful and your kingdom will be good. And if you don't follow my orders, your kingdom will be destroyed. So the court people looked at each other and said, our king has gone mad. And he said, come on, get everything ready, send a whole fleet of ships. My son is going to go with her, and I want many of the most valiant soldiers in my army to go with her, sailors, and lots of teachers. So he sent this whole flotilla of ships over with his 16-year-old daughter
Hmm.
over to this island. Now, at that time, it wasn't called Korea. There was no name to it. It was 50 AD. Interestingly, on the other side, on the island, was a young boy, young man. He was slightly older than 16. And at that time, 50 AD, people used to get married very early, 12, 13, 14, they used to get married. And his people kept saying, you should get married. You're getting old now. And he said, no, I have had this dream, and God came in my dream and told me that a princess is going to come across the ocean and will offer herself to me, and that's who I have to get married to.
Hmm.
So this flotilla of ships starts coming across the ocean to the island that we now know as Korea, and people run from the beach to the king and said, King, even though we thought you were crazy, they didn't say that. Even this, what your dream came true. This flotilla of ships is coming across. So the king was quite surprised that his dream came true and said, as soon as she lands, as soon as this, bring those people over to me.
Hmm.
So the ships landed. The princess was brought out on a palanquin carried by her army, that all these soldiers and teachers and wealth all came with her, and they were standing by the beach, and they saw these people from King Suro, that was his name, King Suro. King Suro's palace were there to greet them, and they said, come, our king wants you to come. And the queen, the 16-year-old girl, was very majestic, and she said, first of all, I'm a woman, and secondly, I'm a princess. You can't just order me to come with you. She says, whoever it is, who's your king, tell him to come and receive me properly, and then I will follow.
Hmm.
They went back and told King Suro this, and he was not only impressed, but he actually started to have his team build an army of tents across outside his home, and then went down personally to the beach, escorted the princess back, and the rest is a very interesting story. They got married
Hmm.
with a lot of fanfare and everybody just loved this princess. The princess's name was Gauri. Lou, in Sanskrit, Gau is the original name of cow. You can see it sounds similar, Gau, cow. Gauri means a person, a girl, a woman who is like a cow in her qualities, gentle, giving. We think that the cow is always giving to others. During the cow's lifetime, she feeds with milk and other stuff, and after the cow dies, still other parts of the cow's body are useful in terms of the leather, the horns, the shoes, etc.
Hmm.
And so Gauri is a name that is or used to be quite popular in India at that time. So Gauri, the island, after she got married, the island started becoming called Gauria, which is now called Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the city that they landed at was called Kimhai. Now, the Koreans, King Suro's people, she became a very popular queen because she was bright, she was gentle, she was very loving, and everybody loved her. Her last name, they called it as Heo, Heo. They had 10 sons and multiple daughters, and these now became the largest family in Korea. To this day, the Kim, Kim family. Kim is a very popular name in India, in Korea, and Kim, the descendants of Princess Gauri and King Suro are known as Kims.
Hmm.
So if you know any Koreans, probably at least a percentage of the Koreans that you know are going to have the last name Kim. And Princess said, well, my last name was Hyo. So all my children are going to be known as Kims. Why not Hyos? So some of them were named Hyo. I don't know how that happens, but
Yeah.
some of the children were named as Hyos, last name. So there's also a Hyo family, which is taken after her last name. Now, the King Mishra had also sent along with her teachers of all kinds of things: academics, mathematics, literature, Sanskrit, mathematics, and martial arts. So they taught these people what today is known as Taekwondo. It was a martial art. And this then became something that was very common to Korea. So Queen Huh, or Queen Heo, Heo, Goryeo, now has 6 million descendants from this princess. 6 million.
Wow.
And this is what we learned after this delegation of 100 delegates came over from South Korea. Now, President Kim was aware of this. President Kim was the president of South Korea. President Kim Dae-jun and Prime Minister Jong Pil-kim were also descendants of these. And so they have in Korea named Kimhae the sister city of Ayodhya and their ambassadors. So South Korea is the fifth largest correspondent in terms of economic commerce between India and the other countries. Now, if you want to look this up, you can look this up in something known as the Samyak, Samyak, YUSA, from Seoul in the University Press. If you go to the ISBN, which is the library title, ISBN 89714100175 is the number, and you can just look it up, or you can write to me at arisearjuna@gmail.com, and I will give you all of these things. Now, arisearjuna@gmail.com, you can see it on the screen. The royal seal of Ayodhya was two fish kissing each other. You've seen that?
Yeah.
Two fish kissing each other is the original royal seal of Ayodhya in India. This goes back way before 50 AD. This has always been the seal. In fact, if you look, maybe I should have put some pictures and sent it to you, Lou, to post it on there. But this goes back for many years where this was this. And she carried that seal with her. And today, it is the symbol in Korea of two fish kissing each other. Gauri also took with her tea plantations, plants, so that she could plant them in Korea to drink her tea. They have found through DNA testing, not only that the DNA of the Kims and the Hyos match the DNA from India, but also these plants, these tea plants. They said the only place where these tea plants were grown were in India. And so that's how Korea got its tea.
Interesting. Yeah.
The king had also, all the ships were given special stones to keep the ballast down.
Yeah.
So the stones were from Korea, and they said it is to keep the waters of the ocean calm while they sailed. But we now know what the purpose of the stones was. These were thought to be special stones to keep the waters of the ocean calm while they sailed. But then these are the stones now found in Korea that are indigenous to Ayodhya. And so they were used as one of the bases for the Koreans to determine where the princess came from, along with the genetic DNA testing. This story, Lou, was fascinating to me because it showed that no matter how different we look, I mean, we talked last time about the Scandinavians, how they went from India. Now we're talking about South Koreans and how different we look, or how the different cultures may be even after thousands of years. Ultimately, it will be shown that we all come from the same cradle. Genetically, DNA-wise, we're from the same cradle, no matter how different we look. And future generations, it is my hope, can use this knowledge to work together as a united world among brothers and sisters instead of the wars and fightings that we see now. So I hope you find this interesting, friends. Your comments,
Can I
your
ask you a
suggestions.
question before? Before we
Please,
close
yes.
this out, is this taught in Korea? In other words, Koreans generally know about this connection with India, or
You
was
always ask the very pertinent questions, and something that I appreciate very much, because I know about this and I had forgotten to mention it. Yes, if you talk to older Koreans, not only do they know the story and they accept it, but if you talk to the younger ones, there's more of a nationalist kind of feeling, and you can see it on the internet that the younger, more nationalist Koreans prefer not to accept it. But it is in their Samyak Yusa. Samyak Yusa is something that is known as in Korea as the story of the three kingdoms. This is taught in Korea even now. But the older people that I've spoken to have accepted it with open arms, proudly, to say this is our genetic background, this is where we came from, and they're not hesitant. But the younger ones, for whatever reason, don't want to be associated with India. But there are many movies and books written about it in Korea.
fascinating?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Again, we're going to learn this throughout this series, but the reach of these cultures across the world is just fascinating to
Yeah.
lay out.
Right. What we're going to be talking about next time is, friends, something that you might find very interesting. We, as Lou said, this culture sort of goes across centuries from old to new, and you've all heard of these various uh, myths in the Judeo-Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard about Noah's Ark. We've heard about Adam and Eve. We've heard about what was that person, Lou? He was the father. He took his son up to the mountain, and then God told him to kill him.
Well, was it offhand? I don't know.
Yeah. There was a story. All of these stories of the Great Flood and
Yeah.
Noah's Ark and Adam and Eve are all, you'd be shocked to hear this, were talked about in India thousands of years before Christ. So the similarities are very striking, and I would like to bring those to your attention. The next one, I think what we'd like to do is maybe Adam and Eve.
Oh, that'll be great. We try to drop episodes. We're going to try to drop episodes a couple times a week here. If you subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, hit the subscribe button so you know when our new podcasts come out, so you can enjoy them. And you can find the videos on YouTube and find the videos on Facebook as well at Ancient Stories.
Thank you all. See you next time. Bye-bye.